Now, whether you're a long-time windshield repair tech or whether you're new to this video will get you rolling on all the latest and most effective techniques. But if you're new to rock chip repair, you're probably wondering, where do I start? Where do I get a windshield like this to practice on? Your local auto glass shop, auto glass distributor, or possibly even body shop is highly likely to have a broken windshield that they've removed from a customer's car almost every day. So you can give them a call, ask them to put one aside for you, or just pop in. Be careful, make sure you get it home safely, set it up on a table, push it against the wall, maybe in your garage or your shed, and get to practicing. All right, so let's get started. So first, as with any training video, we always want to start with safety. Now the first thing to know is I already have my resin guard, which is a barrier cream that is designed for resin, on my hands, ready to roll to help protect my hands from any allergic reaction to the resin. Of course, gloves are always a great idea too. You'll also notice here I have my goggles. Sunglasses work too if you're working outside, also just to kind of prevent UV exposure and any resin that could possibly get into your eye. Awesome, so let's get rolling on this repair that we have set up. You'll notice here we already have the mirror on the glass, so we always want to put the mirror on the inside of the windshield so you can see your repair. We have a nice combination brake here. Now combination means it's sort of a part bullseye, part star brake. The techniques we're gonna show you today will work just fine whether you're working on a star brake or a bullseye too. Same techniques, not really anything changes as part of the process. So we're gonna use our little microfracturing probe here, and it has a hard tip on the end. And we're just gonna come up here and we're gonna remove any loose glass from this repair and make sure that we don't have anything impeding the flow of the resin there, okay? All right. Put the cap back on, and then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, now that we've used our probe to remove any loose glass from the impact point, we're just gonna clean the glass, but you do wanna clean the glass a little bit before you start, just to make sure that the suction cups of our stand can adhere well to the glass. Now the next thing I like to do is take a little white microfiber cloth like this, or a little pad, just kind of with a little bit of pressure, work the area a little bit for about 5 or 10 seconds, and that will help to remove any hydrophobic coatings like Rain-X or anything like that that could affect the repair as we get rolling. Again, you'll notice that we're not using a drill to get started, but we do want to clean the glass and just do those first few initial steps before we get rolling. All right, fantastic. So now we can get our zoom injector ready for the day's work. So you can notice here that I have my zoom injector already split apart into 2 pieces. So just to show you briefly here, there's an upper seal, there's a lower seal, there's an upper chamber, and there's a lower chamber in the body. So to get our day started, we would just want to make sure that we lubricate our seals every day, once every couple of days roughly. You don't need very much lubricant at all. You're going to use the Injector seal lube, which is just a lubricant that's specially formulated for these upper seals, and just a tiny little bit on your finger. Place it on the seals. You can also place a little bit on the inside chamber of the body itself, like so, and then close it back up. Now on this lower seal, you're gonna put just a tiny drop of resin, and again, you don't need very much at all. This is not something you have to do for every repair, but it is something you have to do, especially after you've cleaned your injector, ideally at the beginning of each workday, especially if you're doing lots of repairs. So then we just thread the cap down like so, hold it in place, and then thread the body onto the cap. Really simple. It's basically just 2 main parts that hold the whole thing together. Thread it down all the way, and then we'll check our vacuum. So to check our vacuum, put our finger over the end of the injector and thread it back, and you'll feel a massive vacuum, and that'll hold the weight of the tool. It's the industry's strongest vacuum. If you do this on a regular basis, just take it, open it up, clean off your seals, and then re-lubricate them. Your seals will last 100, 200, 300 repairs if they're well cared for. Now, we are ready to roll to do a ton of repair work now that we have set this up. Again, that's not something you have to do for every repair, just something you should do at the beginning of each day or possibly each week if you don't use your injector that often. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Zoom Injector. Now the Zoom Injector has by far the industry's strongest vacuum. Vacuum is so crucial to a great windshield repair. So that's one of the reasons why you'll see that before every repair, just real quick, just check your vacuum is good. If you need to change your seals or clean your seals to keep your vacuum strong, that's gonna make your repair process so much easier. One of the things that makes the Zoom so unique is that it holds that vacuum right up until the resin starts to pressure into the brake. Unlike some other injectors that might pull a small vacuum or even a large vacuum, but then they release the vacuum to push the resin in. So it makes it really, really likely to get air bubbles back in the brake. Now the other thing you'll notice on the Zoom injector that you'll see us use in just a second here is these teeth. This click-in system prevents the injector torquing or over-tightening against the glass. Now this is the leading cause of what can crack a windshield. If you've done windshield repair before and you over-tighten it a little too much, that's how you can cause a brake to spread. The Zoom virtually eliminates that as a possibility with this click-in mechanism that we're going to show you how to use in just a second. In addition to that, the Zoom has a lifetime warranty on workmanship and quality of the material. It's built of surgical grade stainless steel. It's super easy to use. It's thread up, thread down once you get it set up on the glass. It's 1 or 2 clicks, but at the same time, it's also used by the world's best technicians. The champions of the auto glass competition 5 years in a row have used Zooms to win the gold medal in those competitions. So it solves a lot of common problems and fears for technicians, and it really works for you, so you don't have to be cycling and trying to get your repairs to fill with a bunch of advanced techniques. So we got our Zoom ready to go. Let's start our repair. We're gonna show you how to set up the tripod to start. Now the tripod is gonna be our base for the repair. So this is gonna go right on the glass over the impact point there. We're gonna use a small amount of this suction cup sealant. You'll actually notice I've already got some on here. You don't need much at all. Like 1 little tiny drop is sufficient. Spread around with your fingers. That's enough lubricant for probably 5 to 10 repairs. It'll just stay on there, and that just allows you to make a little micro adjustment as you go on the glass. Now another thing to mention about the tripod is that it's self-leveling. So I'll show you that here. Basically we'll put it on the glass and we press 1, 2, 3. Make sure you press each suction cup down individually. If you try to do it with one hand, what you may end up happening is you end up having one suction cup that's not fully adhered. As long as you press each suction cup individually, the stand is fully self-leveling. So when we go to load the injector, we don't have to worry about knobs or leveling screws or anything of that nature. Now, a couple other things before I mount the injector on there to show you about the tripod. Over here, I have our tripod stand set up with a corner edge tool. So if you're wondering how do I tackle repairs within 1 inch, 2 inches of the edges or corners, this little corner edge extension just snaps right in place on the tripod stand, which allows you to access corners and edges, just like so. Give yourself a little downward angle and then you can start your repair. So the system is really designed to tackle pretty much any scenario that you might run into. I also want to show you how, before we get started here, how you could use the tripod on vertical glass. So let's say you're working on an RV or a truck. You need a little bit of an angle in order to maintain your vacuum and not lose your resin. So super simple. All you do is take your bottom suction cup, thread it out about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way, and then stick it on the glass. That gives you enough angle to work on the most vertical windshields out there. All right, let's put our tripod back here and let's get started on setting up our Zoom injector for this repair. Okay, so we are ready to start our repair. Now the first thing we're gonna do is choose our resin. Now this is really quite simple. The 2 most popular resins out there are the 2010 or all-weather amber, what we call it. Basically that can be used any weather up to like 90, 95 degrees, or the gray. They help to hide, those 2 tints help to hide reflectivity in the brake. It's personal choice. Most technicians will choose one and stick with it most of the time. The all-weather resin, like I said, can be used 9 to 10 months out of the year. We have a thicker viscosity resin for those really, really hot days, but that is one way to keep it simple. Now, if you've been doing windshield repairs a long time and you're just more comfortable with clear resin, we have that available as well. You really can't go wrong with resin choice. It really comes down to kind of personal preference. My personal preference is I love 2010 gray, especially on big brakes like this with a lot of crushed glass. Now, another just key point about resin really, really matters to your repair. It is a key component to restoring structural integrity to the repair itself, and GlasWeld resin has been independently tested to be 34% stronger on average than the other leading brands of resin. So the resin you choose really makes a big difference in the quality of the repair, the longevity of the repair, and possibly even be able to charge a premium with your customers as well. So for this type of repair, I'm just gonna use the all-weather gray. This is a pretty good size repair, as you probably saw in one of the opening shots. So I'm gonna give myself at least 6 drops of resin. You can get by with as little as 4 on some repairs, but you know, it's always better to have a little extra. So I'm gonna go maybe 6 drops of resin. You're just gonna notice what I did here is I just backed up the injector just enough so it was all the way at the end here, right, with the resin, the lower piston touching. So back it up so you have enough room for the resin. So you need maybe 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch of space there. All right, just like so. Take your resin, drop it right into the tip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drops, like so. Put our cap back on the resin. Then we're gonna take our white seal. We're gonna put the white seal right in there. Now the white seal is double-sided, so don't worry, you can't mess that up. Just put it in either way, make sure it snaps in place. And then the last, and this is a really important step, you wanna make sure that the resin touches the bottom inside surface of that seal. So I'm just gonna bring the resin up until I see it touch the inside surface of that seal. Right there. So I don't know if you can see that, but once the resin touches the inside surface, you don't want it all the way to the top because then you might lose some resin, but as long as it touches the inside surface of that seal, it will create enough surface tension that it won't go anywhere, and we're able to start our repair. Okay, awesome. So our injector is ready and loaded and ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead and put it into the tripod stand here. So we're gonna go ahead and just line up the teeth with the ratchet paw. So just like so, and then make sure you're centered right over the impact point. We have a big impact point on this repair. So right over that impact point, once I touch the glass, right there I'm touching the glass, 1 click. I can possibly do a 2nd click if I want. But the beautiful thing about the Zoom Injector is it takes the guesswork out of this really crucial step of mounting the injector on the glass. Now, it also prevents you from making possible mistakes. Like, it's virtually impossible for me to get a 3rd click. So I really can't over tighten the injector. I just get a perfect seal every time. It's quick, it's easy, and it's fast. All right, awesome. So our injector is loaded onto the glass. We've got a perfect seal. So now, super simple. We're just gonna take the Zoom handle here and we're gonna thread it back until it stops. Now that's under massive vacuum. So we're pulling all of the air out of that brake to make it ready for the resin to flow in. Now I'm gonna show you this next little tool. This is an awesome little tool. If you're doing repairs outside, which many of you I'm sure are, you probably know that in the past, you know, a lot of times technicians would throw a rag over the repair or, you know, a really dark red UV blocker. And the idea is you want to impede as much UV light to hit the resin as possible during the repair because you don't want the resin to start thickening up. So GlasWeld, we developed a completely transparent UV shield that we call the UV shell that blocks all the UV. So the moment you start the repair, if you're working outside, just slide this right over the top and you just slide, you'll notice there's little notches on the top of this, just slides right over the top and there's little cutouts on each side. So if you need to reach the repair for some reason, you'll also see I can see my repair in the mirror from every angle. And if you just leave that on through the entire repair process, that will prevent any premature curing of the resin. And it's a really, really simple tool to use. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just pull that off since we don't really need it. We're inside right now. So we're gonna go ahead and reverse this now, and we're going to inject resin into the repair. And you're gonna see how the seal's gonna swell up and the resin's gonna start to flow. Now this seal on the Zoom Injector is really forgiving. So let's go ahead and show you that. All right, so we are ready to start injecting our resin. Super simple. Just thread the handle down and watch for the white seal. Once the white seal starts to swell, let it flare out. Maybe so it flares about 25 to 30% bigger than what it was. And then we just let it sit for about 30 seconds. Now you'll notice that when you do this, that seal is super forgiving. It will flare out almost double its size if you push it a little too far. So that seal is super helpful in reducing mistakes. Even on a hot summer day where you could get some flowering with other injectors, this injector will prevent that because the seal will absorb any excess pressure rather than the brake itself. So that seal is super forgiving, not only for the clicking mechanism, but also to prevent flouring. All right, awesome. So we've seen that first injection happen. You need about 30 seconds minimum, but you can also go off and leave it for 5-10 minutes or even an hour. It doesn't really matter, but you do need at least 30 seconds on the first injection and the first vacuum. So now we're gonna do our second vacuum. Second vacuum we'll leave for another 30 seconds to maybe a minute or two, depending on how big the repair is. We just flip it again. The injector, the handle is thread all the way back until it stops. Again, really, really easy. And if you're doing other services on a vehicle, this is a great time to do other things, right? You could be working on polishing something or doing the headlights or removing a scratch or something like that. All right, awesome. So now we've let this sit for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. On its second vacuum cycle, we'll go ahead and flip it and inject the resin one more time. Again, flaring the seal out about 30% larger than its normal size. Now, by this point, the repair is looking really, really good already. Now, in the old days, there was a couple of different ways that you could help move a repair along if you had some trouble with a certain leg. And one of those techniques back in the day was using heat, which would thin out the resin and cause the glass to expand. It looks great right at the beginning, but it doesn't last. The other technique that was developed was using a probe to pressure like one of these guys, to pressure a leg. Works, but it can be risky, right? Because if you pressure a leg a little too much, the leg could run. We've also shown in past videos using a cork on the inside of the glass and massaging, which also works as well. But we now have a new technique that's much safer, much faster, and much easier that I like to use on every repair when you get to this second injection cycle. And that's with our new multi-tool drill. And you'll see here, it comes with a couple of different corks on a little post that you can just slide right in there. I just leave those ready to roll and operate, and we're gonna show you exactly how to use this on the inside of the brake. It takes about 10 or 15 seconds, and it will quickly fill any stubborn legs in a really safe way, just by creating a little bit of vibration on the inside of the repair. So let's show you how to do that. So we'll just turn the multi-tool up to 2 or 3, take our mirror off for a minute, and then just hold it flat on the repair and working from the inside, kind of working almost like you're painting the legs out from the inside towards the outside, and just maybe like 4 or 5 seconds per section, kind of radiating out from the middle to the end of those legs. And that's it. Super simple, and it will fill those stubborn legs in no time. Hit it one more time to turn it off, put our mirror back on. So this little multi-tool drill is a fantastic tool because it allows you to, if you like to drill your repairs, it has a mechanism, a collet for drilling. It also includes these cork posts that allow you to massage that repair from the inside and get a really quick fill even on a complex brake. And this same cork post functions as a pit polisher. So we'll show you that at the end as we get to finish up this repair. Awesome, so our repair should be pretty well finished. Looks really, really good. All the legs look filled. We've done our 2 vacuums, we've done our 2 injections. So really simple now. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna back off a little bit of the resin pressure. So the resin is just sort of injecting, but just a kind of like neutral pressure, just so that the seal looks like it's normal size basically. So we're gonna cure under pressure. So we're gonna put the curing light on here and cure this under pressure. What that means is that the resin is still injecting, but it doesn't mean that we have the seal completely flared out and it's under a ton of pressure. Just a small amount of resin pressure, and then we'll start the curing process. So let's pull out our curing light here. Now I'm gonna show you to start the ProCure Smart. We'll go ahead and set that up here. This goes directly over the zoom. So it's really simple to use. It's battery operated. And we're just gonna push the suction cup down there so you know there's no cords attached to it. And all we have to do is turn it on. So you can turn it on like so, or turn it off like so. That's to turn it off. That's to turn it back on. To start it, you just press the button. So we'll just press it once, and it will start a 30-second rapid curing cycle. So this is gonna flash cure the resin really, really quickly under pressure. Now it's USB-C rechargeable, so you can plug it in with the included USB cable and charger into a USB port and charge it up. It also has the ability to measure the temperature, so it knows if you're working on a really cold day in which case you would normally need a little more curing time, the light knows that. You don't even have to think about it. It just will automatically add some extra time to the curing process. As soon as it's done, it beeps and shuts off to conserve battery. So we'll go ahead and pull that off. I want to show you too the other curing light that GlasWeld offers that may be included in your kit. It's called the Flex Cure. It's also USB-C rechargeable. So there's a little charging port right there. It's battery operated, so just click the button to turn it on. And all you do with this guy is you just set it up on the glass, your stand like so, push the lever down, and then you put your light directly by the repair, turn it on, start it, and then you'll leave it in that position for about 30 to 45 seconds. Then you would move it to the next position, and then the next position. You don't have to move the base, just move the light, and so that's how you can use cure under pressure with the Flex Cure light. Pop it off, and we can move to the next step. Okay, great, so our repair is fully cured, so now we're just gonna remove the injector, and that's really simple. We'll just back off a little bit of resin pressure, lift the little lever of the ratchet system, the click-in system, and just slide the injector right out. Now, once you get it out, you can take a small paper towel and just take the white seal out, kind of clean it out in your fingers, so that way it's ready for the next repair. Those white seals will last for hundreds of repairs. And then just bring the resin up to the surface and just wipe out any excess resin. So we've got maybe an extra drop or two there. It's always good to have a little extra just so you don't bottom out when you're working on your repairs. All right, cool. So now we'll go ahead and remove the tripod. Just kind of pop it off here with our fingers. We'll go ahead and remove our mirror as well. And we'll just kind of wipe the center of the repair. We don't want to get the lubricant in the middle of the repair, so just kind of wipe that away. Okay, so now our repair is done, but we're gonna now put a cap on it. The pit fill resin is a much thicker resin. It adheres to the glass really well. It really resists the elements well. So all we're gonna do is take a small piece of film tab. Now these film tabs come in your kit, but I've cut this down a little bit smaller so I can make the film tabs last a little bit longer. It also helps to prevent air bubbles if you cut it down small like that. Just take one small drop of pit filler and drop it right above that impact point, and then just lay the film tab down on it. You don't want to press it. You don't need to press it. You just want to lay it on there, and that'll move any air bubbles out. And then we'll put our ProCure Smart light back on here, or the Flex Cure if that's what you have. So it ramps up. It'll quickly harden that pit fill resin right there in the middle, and then we'll get ready to scrape it. The ProCure Smart is just such an intelligent curing light that just makes things so much easier in the windshield repair process, not to mention the fact that you don't have cables and stuff hanging around. So pop that off and grab our little scraper. So you got a little razor blade scraper here, and we're gonna scrape this at a 90-degree angle so that we don't lift that pit filler out. Just like so. Until all we have left is the impact point. That's what we can see there, that little impact point. I'll go ahead and grab a paper towel and just kind of clean off some of these clippings of resin. All right, so now our last and final step. Our same multi-tool drill works perfectly for this last step. So we're gonna take a little bit of our pit polish, and we are just going to drop one little drop right there on the tip, or right on the impact point. Turn it on up to about 3 again. Run it real flat right over the impact point, and that'll polish that pit up to be really nice and shiny, so it'll look really good. About 10 seconds worth or so. Turn it off. And clean it up. All right, so our repair is complete. We took a big combination break and improved it probably close to 90% with just really simple techniques that you saw in this video. So we're always gonna expect a 70 to 90% optical improvement. We definitely got that with this repair, but most importantly, we restored 100% of the structural integrity back to this windshield without having to replace it or recalibrate it or anything else. Now we can just move on to the next repair. Now with your ProVac Zoom, that's super simple. You already saw just cleaning out the tip, cleaning out the white seal. You you're ready to move on to the next repair. Now at the end of the day, or if you use it very intermittently, possibly once a week, you would want to just kind of take your injector apart like we showed at the beginning and clean your seals. Clean your upper seal, clean your lower seal, and the chambers as well with some denatured alcohol or isopropyl alcohol. Don't use any metal on the interior of the injector, but if you clean your seals regularly, relubricate them up, they should last a really long time. But if you are consistently losing a vacuum, it's probably time to change your seals. That will make you doing your repairs a whole lot easier. So that's the simple steps to handling and maintaining your Zoom injector. Keep your seals clean, keep the injector dry, and you'll be able to do lots and lots of repairs off of one set of seals. Hey, we want you to be successful, so we want to invite you to visit our other resource pages from GlasWeld.com. If you go to GlasWeld.com/resources, you'll find all kinds of additional training information and documents that you can download. Also follow our YouTube page. We have all kinds of stuff that we publish there regularly to help keep you up to date on the latest tools and techniques. Also follow our social media to stay up to date with us on the latest things. And lastly, you can find a description for each of these products and product links at the bottom of this video if you have any questions about them. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions at all. We have a team of people ready and available to help answer the questions that you might have from a technical or from a product standpoint. We wish you lots of success doing rocket ship repair out there in the field, and thank you for tuning in to this training video with GlasWeld.